One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.
Welcome back, everyone, to One Word.
One word.
We can't not do that anymore.
It's tradition.
It's
It is a tradition. That
There
was
we
good.
go. That was great.
Thank you.
I'm Dominic,
I'm Jenna.
I'm Zoe. And I'm Chloe.
and we are your hosts. And we are, this episode coming up is really it was great to discuss some really intriguing traditions, historical, and I don't know, maybe
Historical and personal.
yes, and
Yeah.
personal. And maybe people will be able to see how their tradition that they celebrate at this time of year kind of stems from something else. That's what I think is really, really unique, because I know there are several things we talked about that it was like, well, yeah, that is a far ancestor of the tradition that I celebrate today, and we do at this time of year. So tradition, as we're talking about it in this part 1 episode of a 2-part month, there's so much to talk about in terms of tradition at this time of year that we had to split this up into a 2-part episode. So this is just part 1 of the episode, and stay tuned because you're going to get a great French toast idea from Jenna. Do you do that like on Christmas morning or anything?
We
Is
do
that
it
when you have
leading
it?
up to it. So it's not every like Christmas Eve or Christmas morning type thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we are in the season of like Christmas is coming.
And you have it.
Right.
Don't tell them what it's made out
We've
of.
got
okay?
this product. We're going to use this thing.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, so that's kind of working.
So it's like the whole general season that
Yes.
you use it in. It's
Yeah.
not just
You're right.
on
It's not
Christmas
on
morning.
specific. Yeah, it's not specific
Okay.
to a day.
All right. Oh,
Interesting.
that's great.
But
I'm
it
gonna
wouldn't
try
be
it.
in May. Only in that Christmas season.
Okay.
Right.
You know?
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition.
That's
So.
in December.
In December. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's and I might give y'all the recipe. We'll see, y'all.
All right.
You'll just have to find
You
out.
know, last month I did say that I was going to get us an email address, and we do have
do.
an
We
email
do.
address. I'll just point that out to our friends that they can email us at, it is one word, at BataviaFineArtsCenter.org, and center is spelled CENTRE. So
'Cause we're
feel
fancy.
free. Yeah, you can feel free to email us some of your traditions too, and maybe
Yes.
we'll mention some of those in an upcoming episode.
We
too.
would love to hear from you. So
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So some other traditions or things that we talked about in this podcast coming up, we kind of got into the history of Christmas trees and just really kind of talked a lot about what we all kind of do or what stemmed from, but also how that got started. And I thought that was really interesting because we all kind of have different trees a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I have many different.
yeah, Dominic
trees.
has many trees. He got all the trees. If you're missing a tree, go to Dominic's house.
We talked this week a bit about the solstice, the winter solstice, and how that relates to modern Christmas traditions, but also, end of the year traditions all over the world. And that was
Yeah.
really interesting to talk about.
Yeah, and bouncing off that, just our theme of nature, like that was very present this episode. And also we talked a little bit about a tradition in Spain and how they beat a log with a stick, but it's a little more than that. So I guess
It
you'll
is.
just have to listen
Yeah,
to
there was
get
It
the
is
rest.
quite a bit more than that. Yeah. It is something else, let me tell you.
it's something that you don't.
Expect.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say that is correct. But at the same time, it is rooted and based in something very important at those times. And I would gather to say, still for us to have a respect for and an understanding.
Oh,
of
yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a healthy respect for it.
Oh, well, my friends, this is part 1 of the 2-part episode, as I said before. And so without further ado, I just have one word for you. Tradition, part 1.
Today we are talking about tradition. And we're actually going to break tradition a little bit. Normally we kind of go into the definition, the etymology of the word. But today we're going to explore the different traditions. So we're in the month of December. There are lots of traditions, lots of different holidays and traditions that families and people groups do. And so we want to go into all of those because there's a lot there. And I think it's interesting hearing,
It's so rich.
Yeah, it's so rich. Rich is a great word for that.
And culturally around the world, the different traditions. And what's interesting is how they go from what they once were to the world we know and exist in today. And it's really, it's fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The first thing that I have on my list is the classic of the Christmas tree and Christmas decorations, which the history behind this is kind of interesting because, I mean, it is almost exactly what you would expect the history of the Christmas tree to be. So originally, bringing evergreen trees inside was used to celebrate winter festivals by pagans and Christians. Pagans would decorate their homes during the winter solstice with the tree branches as a symbol that spring was just around the corner. And then the Romans used the trees to decorate their temples at the festival of, I'm going to butcher this,
Saturnalia?
Yeah.
Saturnalia, yeah.
Okay, yeah, good job, Chloe. And then Christians use it as a sign of everlasting life with God because it's one of the few trees out of the year that don't lose its leaves when winter comes. So it's like a year-round, everlasting, eternal symbolism for love.
And mine don't lose their leaves, their needles, or anything because they're made of plastic.
Mine as well.
I get a real one. It smells so nice.
Oh, it does.
And we go to the Christmas tree farm, and it's a little family. I do every year.
Okay, so I was always a little jealous of people, like, you know how you watch those Hallmark movies and they like go out and they like put the tree on the car? That was not us. We got a potted tree from Jewel Oscar.
Did you then plant it?
Yeah, my dad plants them outside.
Yes, that's brilliant.
That's so
I've heard of
cool.
people doing that. And then every year you're actually utilizing the tree. You're not cutting a tree down just for the one time a year.
All right, well, now
That's
I feel
good
bad
for
that
you.
I was
Cool.
jealous.
Well, it's good for you. My family, our Christmas tree, we had it since before I was born. My parents got it on sale after Christmas for $10 at Home Depot.
Nice.
And it has been in our life ever since.
That's great.
We go to the Boy Scout Christmas tree farm every year because my brothers used to be in Boy Scouts. They were never like old enough to be on the Christmas tree farm. But we go and we get a tree and we pick it out and it's a little family outing. It's so fun.
That's fun.
And it smells
We
so
have
nice.
like 7
Christmas trees?
Christmas trees in our house.
Like real
Yes.
Christmas trees or fake
No,
ones?
fake. All
They're
fake.
fake, pre-lit. Thank
Okay.
you.
Are they?
Sorry, just
Are they themed? Do you have themed trees?
Oh, yes, of course
yeah.
we do. Yeah.
What are the? Can we ask what the themes are?
Yeah, so downstairs in the movie theater is the movie tree. The one by the fireplace is the family tree. So it's got ornaments from when my wife was a kid and things she made, things I made, all the family
thought it was
ornaments.
sweet.
I thought you were gonna say
Pictures of relatives.
pictures of. So I just imagined like Dominant's face on a like globe.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. There are several ornaments on the tree
With your face?
with my face on them.
Nice.
Because when you're, a kid, they take your school photo and
Yeah.
they make an ornament of it. And I was a cute kid. Did you know that? Did you know I was a model? Did you ever?
You
Were
were?
I was, yeah.
Is this sarcasm?
No, I'm being serious. When I was
That's
5, I was a model. We'll
Wow.
save that for another.
That's amazing.
Another model tuxedos. We'll save that for another episode.
Had to let us know. We had to know right now.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I am like flabbergasted right now. Okay, keep going. 'cause I
Anyways,
just
we
wanna
are
ask
so
about
digressing.
modeling.
There's more trees. There's the candy tree. There's plenty of trees all around the house.
So many
trees. I've
trees.
got a forest. Okay.
Nice. Well, my family only has one tree.
Okay. That's great. I'm sure it's a beautiful tree.
Yeah, it's definitely beautiful. Well, to hop back on track of Christmas trees and the history
and decorations.
of Christmas
Thank
trees.
you. Sorry.
Yes, so the first ever recorded Christmas tree was during the 16th century. The preacher, Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King Jr., the preacher, was recorded as one of the first people to bring a Christmas tree into his home and one of the first to add lights to the tree. So that's where it ties into decorations. A lot of people would just decorate it for fun. There's no really like specific meaning behind it. It was just a way to make it look cool.
I know this
Very
because I'm
interesting.
Lutheran, so they teach you everything that you can possibly know about Martin Luther.
About Martin Luther, yeah.
Wow.
My mom was Lutheran.
Fun.
I'm just going to pull out connections wherever we got them.
I'm wearing my mom's high school ring from her Lutheran high school.
Oh my gosh.
If anyone
many
ever watches the
connections.
recording of this podcast, which we are filming, by the way.
We are.
We do. We
we're
have
filming.
them filmed too. We have video of it too. So I'm going to take it a step from you when you're talking about the Christmas tree itself, and talk about a Nordic tradition, and this kind of has to do with the Yule Log, and it goes into winter solstice and some things there. But so we've all heard the term Yule Log, right?
Yes.
So that's a Nordic tradition. And it is Yule is the name of the old winter solstice festivals in Scandinavia and other parts of Northern Europe. So the Yule Log was originally an entire tree, the whole thing, and it was brought into the house with this big pomp and circumstance, great ceremony, and sometimes it was a tradition. The whole family would go out, very much like what you say when you go pick out your Christmas tree, right? The whole family would go out and cut the log down. That was in France where they would do that. Now here's part of the interesting and scary part as well. So you would like stick an end of the tree in the fireplace and light it with the other end of it like sticking out into the house.
Fun.
They're like, how do we burn this? Just stick it
Stick
in
it
there.
Don't chop it.
See
Don't
what
you dare
happens.
chop that tree.
And then you would use sometimes you could use that same log then year after year after year after year.
Cool.
In England, like there's different types of logs you would use. So in England, they would use oak. Scotland, it was birch. France, you'd have cherry. And in France, of course, they would pour wine over it before they lit it, so that it would smell good. So that it would smell good. You could also change the color of it. You could add different spice, different things
You
to
change
it.
the color of the
fire?
Of the flame.
The flame.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so table salt would make it bright white. Copper sulfite would make it blue. Borax would
Do you kinda
be
wanna
vivid
try this?
green.
Yes,
Well,
I
you
was
kinda
just thinking
do,
that
right?
as he was talking, I was like, oh, next bonfire maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, that'd
Yeah.
be so fun.
So there's another thing too, where in Somerset in the UK, they would take a very large bunch of ash twigs, and this is instead the log itself, and they would burn all these twigs, and that comes from the local legend that Joseph and Mary and Jesus were very cold. And the shepherds came and they would light a bunch of twigs to keep them warm. That is one little bit about the Yule log as it relates to the Christmas tree itself. It's also a dessert.
Now,
Which-
okay.
The log?
Yes, I've heard of the Yule log dessert, and I was always confused because people would say, "I've brought a Yule log," and I was never sure if they brought the dessert or if they just brought like a tree,
A piece of a tree.
a
for
piece
you.
of a tree, and sometimes like
Well-
it would be either. Like the one time somebody brought
Both.
for like a white elephant party, they're like, "I brought the Yule log," and it was
Just
just
a
this
log.
log.
So there's a different type of Yule log. Maybe I'll talk about a little
I've
bit
never
later.
heard of the dessert.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
I've not heard
it's
of
a
dessert.
chocolate Yule log, and it is a popular Christmas dessert or pudding, traditionally eaten in France or Belgium.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a roll, It's
Yeah.
this chocolate sponge
Oh.
cake
It looks
that's
like-
layered,
You
and
put
then
and you roll
It looks like a Swiss roll.
yeah,
a little
and
bit.
Okay,
it's
yeah.
That
rolled,
sounds fun.
and then you slice it And so that's kind of the edible Yule log. It goes far before Christianity, even with the Yule log, into the winter solstice is where that comes from.
I actually have done a lot of research about the winter solstice.
Yeah?
It's very interesting because, there are cultures all over the world that observe winter solstice holidays, like from very, very long times ago. Zoe talked about one earlier, Roman Saturnalia, which is a celebration for Saturn. And they also, around the same time, they celebrated Juvenalia, which was, like it sounds, a celebration of children.
Jupiter? Oh.
No. Juvenalia.
Definitely Jupiter. I was tracking on the wrong track.
Like juvenalia.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a little more sense.
And then, like Zoe mentioned, there were other pagan traditions with Yule celebrations up in the northern Europe, in like Germany and Scandinavia and that kind of thing. And in those like Nordic traditions, there were lots of Yule decorations, which is, like Zoe said, an earlier descendant of the Christmas tree, where some people actually, like long times ago, before they were brought into homes, would decorate them outside to symbolize like the sun and the moon and the stars, because most winter solstice traditions were like to honor nature. Yeah. And that's why we see lots of current Christmas decorations and celebrations, pieces of nature, like we see holly and evergreen trees and like wreaths and that sort of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of it comes from celebration of nature. And we see that, like, the fact that winter solstice traditions kind of turn into Christmas traditions, because in the 4th century, Pope Julius I was like, you know what, I think we should start celebrating Christmas as a holiday. But he was like, even though there's biblical evidence to kind of support that Jesus was probably born in the spring, he was like, you know what's really cool? Roman Saturnalia. So maybe I can piggyback off of that, and also Nordic Yule celebrations, and we can just make one big hodgepodge holiday, which is kind of what Christmas turned out to be.
That's
Isn't
really
that
cool.
crazy?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Question. Do you know, and this might be a ridiculous question, why is it called solstice? What does solstice mean? Because I always, I hear the word, there's winter solstice and there's
Summer solstice.
Summer solstice.
It's the longest and the shortest days of the year.
Oh, okay.
So I believe it's when Earth is farthest from the sun and closest to the sun.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about the rotation of the Earth.
Essentially, it is the longest and the shortest day of the year.
Okay.
So it does have to do with where the Earth is in relation to the sun.
Sorry.
So,
That was a good tangent.
What is this word?
so if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of take us down a notch from, all this intelligence talk. And since we're still talking about Yule log and whatnot,
Changing the mood.
I'm going to change the mood a little bit. So in the northeast of Spain, there was a tradition, and it is called the Tío de Nadal, which is the Christmas log. And Tío means trunk or log, and it's a big piece of cut wood. That's kind of where that comes from. But in many of the homes up in the northeast of Spain, during the holiday season, they would hollow a log about 30 centimeters long. And this would begin at the Feast of the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. And the whole concept was the children needed to take care of the log and to keep it
like
warm.
A home ec class.
Yes.
Your egg
like
baby.
You've got your little baby that you've got to keep alive, right? But to take care of it, keep it warm, feed it. They put little blankets over it and things like that.
I want a little log now.
Do you? Well,
yeah, I want to walk
but then
with it.
the whole point of it was, if they took care of it, it would defecate presents
I'm sorry.
on Christmas Day.
Oh, wow. As their reward.
Wait, is that why they made a hole? So they could go through.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I cannot tell my mother about this episode.
And nowadays they still have these, and they have little red booties on them and faces, and the typical red hat is on the top
Dominic's showing me a picture
of
right
it.
now, and I'm not gonna lie, these logs look really happy.
Wait, I want to see this log.
They look
I wish-
happy.
They do look very happy.
I
Right.
wish people could see the picture of these, but it gets worse than this, folks, okay?
Oh, boy.
So every time I say the word poo, I just want you to envision it's really a different word in the actual translation of it, though, okay? So on Christmas Day, or sometimes Christmas Eve, some households on Christmas Eve, you put the Tio partly in the fireplace.
Kind of like the Yule log from before.
Correct.
Yeah.
Partly in the fireplace, and that's where it would defecate.
What?
Yes. So to make it defecate, the children would need to beat it with sticks.
This is so weird. This is like
So strange. This is Spain?
This is the northeast
Spain.
of Spain. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of
it's
cool,
like
though.
it's like a piñata.
It very much is similar to the piñata. Yes.
Yeah.
So they would sing songs and beat it with sticks.
I wonder if pinata
Right?
is a Spanish word. Let me Google.
You go ahead. But the tradition says so before beating Tio.
It's also throwing me off a little bit because I know Tio is also the word for uncle.
Yes.
And
yes.
so I'm like, before
Beat your
beating
uncle in the fire.
No, for
Yep.
this we're meaning
It is
log,
a Spanish
which
That's right.
word. Pinata is a Spanish word.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like to beat things a little.
In Spain over there.
Yeah. So the kids would have to leave and go into another room of the house to pray. And they would ask Tio to deliver like lots of presents. Bring me the presents. I'm going to beat you. So they'd go into the kitchen and warm their stick next to the fire. And then during that time, preparations were made with Tio so that he could actually defecate
Oh my
the
God.
presents. Now, the interesting thing is these were not large presents. It's not
Well,
like...
no, I mean, if you're defecating, it's not always.
No, it's like...
It's not
It's
always
little
a large
candies.
hole, is it?
Little candies, small toys,
Right.
that kind of thing. All the big presents were supposed to have been brought by the three wise men at a
Right.
later date.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Right?
cannot handle my life right now.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And so here's a really nice part of this one too. So, it's the little things that you might typically get in a stocking today. Those are the things that
I
would
have
be
things to say about that later.
defecated out.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, I'll put a pin right
Stockings.
in it. Stockings.
Yep.
Thank you. And what comes out is communal.
Oh, so
so
everybody can have it. Like,
Everyone,
again, like a piñata.
like a piñata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
do
So
like that.
so it was for everyone, and everyone would then share those items. So
sweet.
I have a song here, and this is the song
Gee.
that would be sung while you were hitting the log with sticks, right? Hitting Tio. Remember, I'm going to use the word poo,
Okay.
but it is very much a different word that is in the translation.
Are you
here.
going to sing it for us?
I'm not going to sing it for you.
Oh, come on.
Only because
on,
I don't know what
Sing
the
it,
actual
sing it.
song is.
Come up with something.
You're an improviser. Improvise a tune.
I could improvise the tune, yes. So, poo log. Almonds and nuggets, do not defecate herrings, which are too salty. Defecate nuggets, which are better. Poo log, almonds and nuggets. And if you don't want to defecate, I will give you a smack.
Oh my God.
Poo log. That is not the actual melody of it. I
That
have
was
absolutely no clue what that
fabulous.
is.
It was amazing.
And if you don't want to defecate, I will give you a smack.
Do you find it okay? I'm feeling gross talking about it, but do you find it funny that the first thing it's asked to poop is almonds and nuggets?
I don't love that.
I'm just like imagining actual poop with nuggets with almonds and nuggets in it. I'm sorry.
Not herrings.
Not herring.
Which are too
Herring,
salty.
Right? If something poops herrings, like maybe go to a doctor.
If someone poops gifts, also go to a doctor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's anything weird, maybe just kind of Google it.
I'm just going to also be honest here. I'm going to move us on here.
Good.
But I'm still sticking with poo. In northeastern Spain, they just had a thing for it, okay?
They must have.
Because there's a little fella.
Oh.
And it's a little figurine.
The Poo Meister.
It's called the the Kaganer.
Oh my
okay.
gosh. I'm
And
crying
it's
right now.
it's a figurine of a peasant in a traditional red hat.
Oh.
Okay, red hat. And this figurine, though, is in a squatting position, kind of,
Gosh.
and relieving themselves. And this little figurine is still customary. And it is not only customary, but this figurine is very often placed in the nativity scene. And that is good luck. And it is expected that if you do not place that within the nativity scene, you will not have good luck in the coming year. Now, this goes back to that nature thing
Okay.
that we were talking about with the
Right,
winter solstice, right? It is a symbol of fertilization of the ground. The healthy excrement added to the ground will bring good crops.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that is also why they think that this little figurine is a pre-Christian figurine. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it goes
Right.
back to the rituals to ensure the earth's fertility.
Right.
Lots and lots of Pooh figurines are still sold. There are, in fact, superhero ones.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Dominic has another picture.
I need to see this.
Oh my word.
Oh my gosh.
Please Google this. Wait, what is it called? What do they call it?
The Kaganer.
Kaganer.
Yeah.
You wanna spell it?
Caganer. So,
I
yeah.
want one now.
Yeah, well, you can get one in Wonder Woman if you so desire, or in many different celebrities have figurines
Oh,
in
wow.
this. You know what I mean? It's really fascinating. I mean, it's
It is.
fascinating. But I'll be honest, we laugh at it now, but when you think that it is really about honoring the earth,
Right.
Yeah.
It makes
and
sense.
keeping
It
for a
does.
healthy earth and understanding that. You know, also with the Yule Log, something I forgot with the Yule Log, going back to the original one, it was also considered unlucky to throw out the ashes from the Yule Log, right?
What did they do with them?
So you would never throw them out on Christmas Day. That was incredibly unlucky.
Okay.
But scattering of the Yule Log to the earth or to plants, because that pot ash, that ash that comes from it, is good for the earth.
Yeah.
Right.
So the creation of the burning of the Yule Log created something to go back into the earth or back into something living, and it kind of perpetuates that. So
Yeah, it all loops back to honoring nature.
honoring nature.
Right.
And then they tie it to a sense of luck. And that the good luck comes from honoring that nature. I just hit my chord there.
I did, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I did just a bit of light research on other cultures around the world celebrations of the solstice, and a couple of them were like mentioned good luck. So I mean, I'll probably butcher these names, but I thought I'd mention some of them. So there was Japanese Toji, which is just a festival that celebrated the harvest and good luck, and there was Peruvian Inti Raymi, which I'm going to do so good with these names, which was, I mean, it was before the Spanish Inquisition, it was celebrated. After they were conquered, it kind of was not celebrated. But because it's in the Southern Hemisphere, it was celebrated in June. But they still celebrated similar things to Northern traditions, because they would celebrate the harvest and the sun god coming back and just all that sort of stuff, which I think is really interesting.
Okay, this is slightly random, but can I take remember we put a pin up?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
the
put
pin in
pins. Go
stockings?
with
Yeah, we
the
put a
pin.
pin in the
yeah.
stockings. Because I have a question for y'all. Also, on another unrelated side note, sweet niblets, I have the song "Poop Log" in my head right now.
Love.
Yeah, right. It's not unenjoyable. So, double negative. Stockings. So growing up, we had stockings, but we don't have a chimney or fireplace or anything, and we have like little ones or whatever.
And that's
they
okay because, you know.
Yeah, and they'd like go up like on the railing or somewhere.
Yeah.
However, we did not have gifts in our stock. So did you all have stockings? Was this a thing?
Well,
I
so
did.
oh, you want to go ahead?
Oh, I was just gonna say I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have a fireplace, but we hung our stockings up on the windowsill, and yeah, there would be presents in them Christmas morning.
So we had stockings, and so did my wife. Here's some difference about this as well. So my family, we always opened stockings first.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
And my wife's family, they would always open stockings at the end.
Oh.
Right? And so to this day, my wife, when we get up on Christmas morning, do we open stockings at the beginning or at the end? She can't remember anymore because, it's different. But a big tradition in her family, and this is, I think, for many as well, is fruit in the stocking.
Oh, in the stocking.
Like a massive orange, a big apple.
Interesting.
Why?
Because fruit was expensive.
Yeah. Oh.
Fruit was a luxury. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so to get, when you go back and you trace back why you get fruit in your stocking, people didn't, often get a big juicy orange or a massive apple that was fresh. So at Christmas time, you got that luxurious thing, that piece of fruit.
That's actually why fruitcake is a Christmas tradition.
Oh,
because
go on.
Because I mean, it's believed to be traced back to an ancient Roman dish called satira, which is from Saturnalia, and
then Juvenalia, which is I'm sorry,
and
it was
Jupiter. A dish with pomegranate seeds, nuts, barley, and fruit. And by the 18th and 19th century, it became a special occasions dish because fruits were so hard to come by. And then eventually, it became a Christian Christmas staple. And now it's kind of a joke of fruitcake's the worst, but people love to hate it. And it's so cemented into Christmas tradition.
I think cemented is probably the proper thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
My dad loves fruitcake.
Yeah.
And we make French toast out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, I bet that would be good.
It's tasty. It's delicious.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
We have to share that recipe with our listeners.
Okay.
Add 2 parts
fruitcake.
Two parts fruitcake.
So is it with a
toast
purchased fruitcake, or do you guys make your own fruitcake that you're known
I've never
for?
made my own fruitcake, but now I actually want to, just because you said that right there. Now I'm ooh, I want to bake. I love baking. I love cooking things. So typically we would buy fruitcake. And there's this one it's not quite called a fruitcake. It's like panettone.
Oh, panettone.
Panettone.
Yeah, that's
panettone.
That's an Italian one.
Yeah,
we'll
Italian.
talk about some Italian stuff in part 2 of this, which will come out next week. But
Hey,
go on.
panettone.
Yeah.
Did I say that well?
And panettone.
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 Yeah.
Yes, you did great. Go on. Go ahead.
So we go back and forth between we'll make French toast out of panettone, or we'll make it out of fruitcake, whatever we have. It's good. The first time we tried it, we're like, I don't know. Is this going to be
So
good?
you guys invented the fruitcake French toast.
Possibly. Probably not.
So how
believe
big
it.
is a piece of French toast? Is it, because I imagine fruitcake pretty small.
Oh, yeah. Well, your French toast can be any size.
Must French toast be a certain size?
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess you're
We're
right.
not going to put any, it could be any size. However big your bread is.
All right.
Yep. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh my gosh. Anyways,
Well, that's
fruitcake.
fruitcake's fantastic. We've discussed a lot today about the history of traditions in the month of December, and specifically a lot how they relate to our world and our earth. And I think it's really great for us to take time to celebrate all of the traditions that are out there, because, in essence, tradition is something that stems from somewhere else, typically.
True.
Yeah.
And whether we know it or not, traditions can connect us to one another in ways we don't even know sometimes. And I think, if we just stop and realize that our traditions in some way are probably linked to someone else's traditions in the world, we would have a lot more in common with those people. And we would understand that we are more similar than we are different. And I think traditions kind of teach us that. And that's, I think that's kind of what this time of year is really about. Understanding that we as humanity share an ancestral past, and no matter what our tradition is, we can respect the traditions of others because ours are probably linked.
Connected to them for sure.
In some way. So that is the end of this part 1 of our 2-part tradition word.
Bet you didn't see that coming.
Bet you didn't see that coming. It's a bonus month. This month, month of December,
It's
we will
our
have
gift to you.
our special gift to you. Next week, we will be dropping tradition part 2. And so, my friends, we will see you next week.
One Word is a production of BFAC On Air.